Lemma's sixth point looks to the name Qayyum. The name Hayy became a summary of a fountain of light, an appendage. This name Qayyum was also deemed appropriate to be an appendage of the 30th word. The name Qayyum. It looks to the name Qayyum. It became a summary of the name Hayy, an appendage of a fountain of light. This name Qayyum was also deemed appropriate to be an appendage of the 30th word. If we recall the 30th word, there are two parts there. The first aim discusses the ego, in. The second aim, the second part, discusses the atom, zir. In the atoms, it speaks of the manifestation of God. It speaks of the truths that manifest in those atoms. Qayyumiyya, self-subsistence, is also a great truth. It is also seen in the realm of atoms. Therefore, the name Qayyum is also appropriate to be an appendage of the 30th word. That is, it is said that Qayyum was deemed appropriate there. I'd like to point out that these are very important and very profound and vast matters, and the greatest manifestation of the name Qayyum is not in a regular manner. Rather, since it occurred to the heart and mind in the style of separate gleams, and since it remained in a very confused, hurried, and unexamined draft form, naturally there will be many deficiencies and irregularities in the expressions and statements. You should excuse my shortcomings for the beauty of the issues. A note: since the points related to the greatest name are exceedingly vast and very profound, especially the matters related to the name Qayyum, and particularly the first gleam, if the one reading this treatise is not a philosopher, they should not read the first gleam, or should read it at the end, starting from the second. Since the first gleam looks at the abstract matters, it goes into greater depth. So naturally, not everyone will understand every issue in every aspect. However, everyone can take a degree of benefit from every issue. However, everyone can take a degree of benefit from every issue. Naturally, not everyone will understand every issue in every aspect. However, everyone can take a degree of benefit from every issue. A very important principle. That is, not everyone understands every issue in every aspect, because the issue is said to be great, vast, and profound. Perhaps the person does not feel a need. Perhaps they are not curious. Perhaps they are not thinking about those points. And so on. There can be many reasons. But what will definitely happen, it says, however, everyone can take a degree of benefit from every issue. Definitely there will be a direction, a degree, a level that looks at it. Definitely they will benefit, it says. That is, a principle also comes after it. If something cannot be obtained entirely, it should not be entirely abandoned. According to this principle, we have something like this. I understood. I didn't understand something. Either I understood or I didn't understand. That is the in-between. I understood a little. There's something there. I understood a little, and I understood a little, and I understood a little. That is, even if we don't understand fully, it doesn't mean we won't understand at all. We will still have some benefit at an intermediate level, because if there were such a thing as complete understanding, we would be very great individuals, wouldn't we? spiritually as a matter of being. So it means we need to put in a lot of effort accordingly. That is, the more effort we put in, the more it will open up. We want to understand fully with little effort, since that won't happen. Therefore, that is, with every effort we make, we will understand a little more. It will go on like that. According to the principle that if something cannot be obtained entirely, it should not be entirely abandoned, it is not wise to give up on plucking all the fruits of this spiritual garden by saying, I cannot pluck them all. That is, the RİSALE-İ is not a book to be put aside after reading once. If it were a book to be put aside after reading once, we would have to understand everything in one go. We would have understood, wouldn't we? Whereas it doesn't happen that way. You read it, it's like an ocean, like a sea. And then with every reading you benefit. So it means this is a book to be read throughout one's life. That is, perhaps even if we read it throughout our lives, the meanings will not end. We will pass on to the afterlife. In paradise, we will still continue to know God, won't we? The knowledge of God will continue there as well, because we are faced with a truth that has no end. So according to the principle that if something cannot be obtained entirely, it should not be entirely abandoned, it is not wise to give up on plucking all the fruits of this spiritual garden by saying, I cannot pluck them all. The more a person plucks, the more it is a gain for them. We think of material things this way. We don't abandon a garden just because we can't take everything, do we? We say that however much we pluck is a gain. The RİSALE-İ is also a garden. It must be said that even if we benefit a little from it each time, it is a gain. The more a person plucks, the more it is a gain for them. Just as there are vast aspects of the matters related to the greatest name that cannot be mistaken, there are also subtle aspects that the mind cannot grasp. Especially regarding the names Hayy, the living, and Qayyum, the self-subsisting, and particularly the allusions of life to the pillars of faith, and especially the indication of life to the pillar of predestination and divine decree, and the first gleam of the name Qayyum. Not everyone's intellect can comprehend it fully, but they will not be without a share. Rather, in any case, it strengthens their faith. The importance of the strengthening of faith, which is the key to eternal happiness, is very great. The importance of the strengthening of faith, which is the key to eternal happiness, is very great. That is a very important matter for a person, is to attain eternal life. The key to eternal life is faith alone, isn't it? It's related to faith. For example, in the verse, God tells us, for whom He has prepared paradise. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. And give good tidings to those who believe and do righteous deeds, that for them are gardens in paradise, beneath which rivers flow. Quran 2:25. So for whom will paradise be given? To those who believe and do righteous deeds. So the key to paradise is faith and righteous deeds. Then righteous deeds are already dependent on faith. Good deeds cannot be done without faith. So faith becomes the key. If the discussions in the RİSALE-İ also serve to strengthen our faith, then that is very important. We need to read them again and again to benefit from them. That is the importance of the strengthening of faith, which is the key to eternal happiness, is very great. Even a speck of increase in the strength of faith is a treasure. Even a speck of increase in the strength of faith is a treasure. Imam Rabbani Ahmad Farooqi says, the unfolding of a small matter of faith is preferable in my sight to hundreds of ecstatic experiences and miracles. Imam Rabbani Ahmad Farooqi says, the unfolding of a small matter of faith, that is not the 6 pillars of faith. For example, within the pillar of belief in God, there are thousands of matters. Just one of them. That's what he says. The unfolding of a small matter of faith. For example, let's say, how many names does God have? 99 names. Isn't it? If one understands the meaning of one name, if one sees its manifestation in the universe, for example, or if one sees one manifestation out of the thousands of manifestations of that name, that becomes a small matter of faith. The unfolding of a small matter of faith is preferable in my sight to hundreds of ecstatic experiences and miracles. The person might have hundreds of miracles. He says that instead of having hundreds of miracles, if a speck of faith unfolds in his heart, it is superior for him. Who says this? Imam Rabbani Ahmad Farooqi says, the unfolding of a small matter of faith is preferable in my sight to hundreds of ecstatic experiences and miracles. So at the same time, what should the goal be? It also determines that, doesn't it? The goal is not to possess miracles or revelations. That is not it. The goal is to progress in the knowledge of God. That is the main issue. That is, to know God. If we know God a little more, that's what will happen. That is the goal every time, every day, is to know Him a little more. To know Him a little more. That is, our goal will be to know God. That is, to constantly understand that truth a little more, a little more. That's the point of a lifetime. That's why God created us.